Well, we gotta have a look at that tip first, and then we go see what old Ryukishi has to say about this arc here. What does that mean? Onigari-no-ryuou. Oni on its own would be demon, wouldn't it? The forbidden treasure. Onigari-no-ryuou. How would you pronounce that? Ryuou? Ryuou? I guess it's the most valuable asset of the Furude shrine that's kept in the ritual storehouse in ancient times. And this place was a chaotic world of both humans and demons, and its precious sword defeated the demon god. However, nobody has seen it for 1,000 years. According to the legend, it is sealed in the statue dedicated to Oyashiro-sama in the ritual storehouse. Because of its structure, as long as the belief in Oyashiro-sama continues, it will remain in Forbidden 2, the Forbidden 2, forever sealed away. Also, it is only mentioned in the Forbidden Scrolls of the Furude Shrine. Therefore, only a handful of the Furude family heads have ever known about its existence. According to several of these Forbidden Scrolls, the sword is shaped like a willow branch. There are some ink paintings of the sword made by a few Furude heads, but none of them match that description. That means they drew those pictures from their imagination. Legend says that there was a girl named Ouka, who received a divine message that commanded her to defeat the demon god. Who the hell is Ouka? You know, I wonder if maybe it's like, this is like, pretty much like, okay, you know, we've been name dropping this Furude Burnskull, and that's because it's going to be a character in our brand new series, Umineko When They Cry. Or maybe they did it alongside this series, I don't know. I don't know the history of Umineko. Maybe it's a character in that. I don't know, there's definitely a pattern. There's definitely some kind of thing. I don't know what it is. It's like, I remember a while back noticing that, you know, when I was trying to figure out what Okanogi's full name was, and realized he also appears in Umineko, but he's a different character, but he looks the same and has the same name, and I was like, that is freaking weird, man. Reusing character models and names is a bit odd, but I don't think it's actually connected to the, you know, Okanogi in this series, but it's pretty much, it's like a different person, but kind of like, it's the same guy, but it's not. Anyways, received a divine message like commander to defeat the demon god. Wherever neither swords of humans or demons could conquer the demon god, it would require a blade that was neither a human sword nor a demon sword. Only a sword that mixes human and demon qualities could defeat the demon god. It has been said repeatedly that the ancestors of Inamizawa are half demon and half human. Ouka Furude is said to be the first person whose blood was mixed in that way. This description is what conveys that. Okay, so Ouka was the first Furude, I guess. Now, it would be something if there's a character named Umineko, then it'd be like, okay, what's going on here? I don't know. But I don't know. It was like I said, I've never read those novels, so I have no idea. All I know is that Furude Burnskull's a character in that, and we've been seeing her name pop up in these arcs, I think since the very first one. Like, when it's just like, kind of gives a kind of poem, you know? Just like, it's like, okay, what's that got to do with anything? Heaven gave Ouka a precious sword. The precious sword was shaped like a willow branch. Its tip split 3 ways, which symbolize heaven, earth, and people in unity. It also symbolizes the harmony between heaven and demons and humans. Ouka headed to the swamp where the demon god hid and defeated him with this treasured sword. Each forbidden scroll describes how she defeated the demon god differently. Some say she disciplined him, some say he ran away, some say he surrendered. What happened to the demon god afterwards is unclear too. The old scroll says the precious sword destroyed the demon god's horn, but all the books don't mention that. The precious sword that defeated the demon god was then enshrined and was named Onigari-no-ryuou. Ouka sealed this precious sword in the deepest place of the shrine to hide its existence forever. Even if it was created to slay the demon god, the sword didn't belong in this world anymore and shouldn't exist on the face of the earth. Some said that was why it was removed from the human world. But some said Ouka was the daughter of the demon god and that she wanted to banish the sword that killed her mother. Wait. Could that be linked to that weird bit where it's like, welcome home, mother? And it's like, what the hell did that mean? Then Ouka was the daughter of a demon god and she wanted to banish the sword that killed her mother. Trying to comprehend how that would be connected to that line. Could Ouka be Hanyu? I don't know. Unless Rika is actually a reincarnation of Ouka, and Hanyu was the mother. I'm confusing myself trying to make sense of this. The ancient cult of Ryukishi07 suggested Ryukishi07 was this demon god. I mean, that would kind of make sense if... it would, yeah. If Ouka is basically reincarnated as Rika, the welcome home mother or whatever, directed at Hanyu is like implying, no Hanyu, you're no longer confined to that world, you are back in this world with us now, so welcome home. Maybe that's what it is, because Hanyu is Ryukishi07, the demon god, who's not really much of a demon, really, in the traditional sense, to say the least. Source of the chaos, the source of all that was evil, and the source of all friction. To prevent the demon god from returning to the human world through worship and comfort is the root of that ancient cult. This may be a type of cult devoted to an evil god. This idea that it's not worship for protection but to starve our fey cursed links slightly to the modern worship of Ryukishi07. It seems slightly distant from the modern worship that asks for Ryukishi07's blessings and sees them as a god of marriage and good relationships. Forces the argument that humans are good by nature, saying that all discord is the work of Ryukishi07 and there are no demons in the world of man. After that, the legend continues on to what we know today, the harmony of humans and demons. But in this era, all the scrolls of the origin of the belief in Ryukishi07 and the scrolls of the matriarch of the Furude family have been sealed due to being forbidden. That happened probably because the new image of Ryukishi07, that of a loving and affectionate god, and the ancient image of Ryukishi07, the source of all evil, didn't match. It became too difficult to explain the faith's doctrine. Also, if one believes the forbidden scrolls, the Furude family was descended from one who killed her own mother. That would mean their blood was cursed. If all of this is true, then today's faith is very different from the one that was started by the matriarch. One of the leaders of the Furude family from hundreds of years ago wrote this. The Onigari-no-ryuou, the legendary precious sword, is the symbol of both the Furude family and the sins of the human world. It was an era where people pushed the source of their evil onto others and could only purify their sins by killing one another. That makes no sense. It's like, thou shalt not kill. And it's just like, well, that's like the Bible though, so... This is Japan we're talking here. But, you know, I'm thinking any kind of religious kind of thing, I think, you know, killing would be seen as kind of a bit of a big sin. Just like, I will, you know, purify the sin by killing you. It's like, how? That just means you've committed another sin. How you do not cancel out sins with sins. The matriarch, number one. That's not number, is it? But, is it? Could it count? No. What is that symbol? Is it an asterisk? Why is it like that? Or is it that is what it's called, right? One took in the root of all evil herself and let her child murder her. That was how this place was freed from the chaos. I'm gonna assume this is just a theory here. Rika, like I said, reincarnation of this Ouka woman, who was the daughter of Hanyu, and who was ultimately responsible, I guess, for, you know, the ritualistic sacrifice involved in it. And now, after 1,000 years, welcome home, you know. She gets to, you know, be brought back to the worlds. The return this place is freed from the chaos. One, the matriarch usually means Ouka Furude, but sometimes it means her mother. The notion that the matriarch was the demon god was a taboo among the Furude family. However, obviously some leaders interpret it that way. When the Furude family, or when the world of man commits the foolish acts of seeking to blame others and tries to return to the world of demons, that is when faith will disappear and the statue's head will shatter. That's when the Onigari-no-ryuou will reappear to us. This second coming will once again revive the memory of the Furude family's forgotten sins. Is the demon god a fictional legend, or someone who actually exists? In some rare cases, babies were born with horns, and they were called the children of the demon god. I mean, that is a deformity, really, isn't it? Descendants of the Furude family who will read this, the myths passed down by our forbidden scrolls on Nimrus and their content vastly differs. But don't get caught up in the smoke. No matter how different all these scrolls are, there is one thing they all went to convey. Such the heart of Ouka Furude, the one who sealed the Onigari-no-ryuou forever. That is the fate that all of the Furude family leaders must understand. So I guess that was just like, give us a little bit more backstory. Some legends that we haven't heard of. But I guess it kind of puts some of the, what we saw into perspective, I guess. Achievement unlocked, Detective Matsuribayashi. Congratulations, there was only one tip in the game, well, novel. Strange, maybe I'm thinking of the original anime adaptation. It had a scene where Furude Burnskill actually manifested, and it pretty much was an older version of Rika. I guess it doesn't actually happen in the novels, though. Strange. Interesting. Must have been an anime-only thing. I'm not going to say what it is, though, because if it's not in the novel here, I don't want to spoil that, you know. But from what I've heard, Furude Burnskill might be kind of like a side of Rika that was split apart. I don't know how that would work, but hell, you saw how the ending played out. A lot of crazy shit going on there. Maybe when she, stopped the bullet, maybe that, unleashed, apparently, a negative part of herself, and maybe that went into the other series. I don't know how that would work, but hey, there's some, like I said, some weird shit happens in this series. The more they kind of, reveal, okay, this is actually what was going on the whole time. It's shit, that's a lot weirder than anything I thought it was gonna be. So maybe that explains it, I don't know. Hello, this is Ryukishi07. Thank you for playing Matsuribayashi. No, thank you very much for playing Higurashi when they cry until the ends. Matsuribayashi is, in a way, the solution episode for the situation with Takano and the kids starting from halfway through Higurashi. How can they defeat Takano's conspiracy? How can they reach their ideal ending? I wrote this episode as a duel between you, the reader, and me, the writer. So if you think you created a better resolution, well, than my Matsuribayashi, that means you've defeated Ryukishi07 in this duel. I, Ryukishi07, have provided two resolutions. One is how to fight against Takano. First, here's a hint from the Higurashi chapter. Find out about Takano's conspiracy, which relies on Emergency Manual 34. Next, here are hints from the Watanagashi and Miyakashi chapters. It has been 48 hours after Rika's death, yet the village is peaceful. I did kind of mention that a few times throughout this arc. It's just she technically died in that kind of a different way in those two arcs. So it's and we didn't really get to see any aftermath of that. And like I said, yet the village is peaceful. We didn't really see the village after that point, but it kind of proved that the whole Takano theory and all that to her grandfather was pretty much untrue. If you put those two things together, obviously the basis of Emergency Manual, which Fumi Takano wrote, that everyone will develop terminal symptoms within 48 hours, isn't true. When you put these two together, you can realize that if Rika Furude's body was discovered 48 hours after her death, it's possible to prevent the final operation. In the Matsuribayashi chapter, I wrote about an attack inside and a defend inside like a novel. If I were to simply write about a resolution, all I had to do was what right was for Ouichi to announce that Rika died at least 48 hours ago, and Takuna's conspiracy would fall apart once the news reached Tokyo. This was rather an easy resolution, like a puzzle, so I'm sure many of you got this right. And I was ashamed the credits, I'm just thinking back to that, rolled by so quickly, because I didn't get to read exactly what happened with Takuno, and more importantly, that Nomura woman who was pulling the strings. I didn't really get to read that bit, but I think she probably got off lightly, because she is in a high position, so she probably was able to dodge getting in too much trouble. So I'd be like, I wasn't involved with that, no. It was just them. I had nothing to do with it, no. Seems like, it's like the way she, would talk to Takuno. She was like a literal devil, just whispering in her ear kind of thing. She was it's like if Hanyu is the good god, then, Nomura, even though she's not a god, kind of be seen as the devil. Takuno you could see as being the devil of all this, but she was just kind of a pawn, really, at the end of the day. It was rather an easy resolution, like a puzzle, so I'm sure many of you got this right. Yellow resolution was the ideal ending for this world. To answer this, I have to explain the world view of this story first. There are hints all over, but the crucial ones are in the Totari-Goroshi and Minagoroshi chapters. Sudoku's uncle comes home, and Sudoku's life becomes miserable. How can she be rescued from that situation? If this story was an exercise in murder, then the Totari-Goroshi chapter is the correct answer. Geichi kills Teppei and hides his body well. There's a happy ending. There's a happy ending. There was no happy ending there, but I didn't end the episode that way. Instead, I denied it with a bad ending. It's we can't have good things. If someone kills someone in one of these arcs, it cannot end well. The resolution the worldview of Higurashi when they cry advocates is a non-violent one, with everyone united together. That means everyone had to get out alive. If a single person dies, that sets off a chain reaction where everyone must die. It just seems like as soon as one character kills someone or gets killed, then it's pretty much just it just goes downhill in terms of, getting any kind of happy resolution to the story. They're established in question chapters such as Onigari-no-ryuou, Utanagashi, and Totari-Goroshi. In those worlds, when someone becomes suspicious about everything and worries about it alone, things get worse, and that leads to tragedy. The Makashi chapter is the sublimation of that situation. On the other hand, when one talks to their friends, it's revealed that the cause of their tragedies are quite silly. That is indicated in the Samuro Horoboshi and Minagoroshi episodes. In other words, can you see that in the worlds of Higurashi, anything can be overcome when people talk to each other and help one another? Unfortunately, that doesn't happen in reality. Having each other creates friction, and oftentimes working alone is a lot simpler. However, we always hope that we can connect with other people and understand each other, so that we can face any difficulty. I just had a thought. Can you imagine if the actual writer was like, you know what, I'm going to sit in this chair. I'm not just going to photograph it. I'm going to sit in the chair. So they'd be like, this is me. I wrote this scenario, so let me just, let's have a chat, right? Just, talk about, how the story went, the ideas, and all that. It's now I'm a bit camera shy. However, we always hope that we can connect with other people and understand each other so that we can face any difficulty. In that sense, this world is a fantasy. I mean, real life doesn't have, magical powers to stop a bullet and stuff like that. That's right. In the worlds of Higurashi, there is one magical rule. That is to talk to others and accept help from them. Then you can defeat anything. Even bullets, apparently. With that, it's possible to make a miracle happen. If that could be cast into an absolute rule, it would be a sort of magical, systematic miracle. Just like what Hanyu and her friends said in the story. That is the world view of Higurashi when they cry. If you follow that rule and think about an ideal ending, I bet the first thing you'll think about is an ending where all the club members unite and defeat Takuno. Actually, there are scenes in the Matsuribayashi chapter that affirm that sort of ending. However, at the same time, Takuno is described as a very lonely person. By doing so, I raise a question about the resolution. Everyone else unites, defeats Takuno, and makes her into a sacrifice. This is a happy ending, for everyone except Takuno. It's a very popular style of story for the protagonists to unite together and sacrifice the antagonists. Aliens come to Earth to invade us, so the world unites and defeats the aliens. Hooray for humans, and we must all get along. This is a very popular storyline all over the world. There are plenty of stories that use aliens, devils, or monsters as clear bad guys, and make them into sacrifices. Two parties fighting with each other become allies once the third party shows up. Storylines like these are indeed exciting. By adding a sacrifice, differing parties unite and become allies. To create this situation, there has to be always the third party, the sacrifice as well. I'm sure many of those who created such stories must have already noticed that. We always add a third enemy that can't possibly unite with us. To make up with each other, we try to find a common enemy. Am I the only one who feels that describes our world today? In reality, this world belongs only to humans. What? The real world, or the fictional one? There are no aliens or devils or monsters, so for us to find an enemy, we'll have to fight each other forever. To make up with each other, we need a new enemy, so we just end up fighting someone else. In this chapter of Higurashi, I declare that to be the demon of the world of man. With these explanations of the worldview here in mind, do you wonder if the resolution of Eden Dark is in fact an ideal resolution of Matsuribayashi chapter? That's right. It's basically the same foolishness found in Higurashi. According to that logic, the Higurashi chapter isn't the best resolution for the problems that surround Tokyo either. Do you understand that? How can they make up with Takano? You wouldn't suggest to make Tokyo into a new enemy and let the club members join with Takano, would you? If I continue to talk about this issue, I will probably end up mentioning something religious, so let me stop there. It's like we don't want to get too into religion here, you know. Controversial topic. Always leads to arguments. What kind of ending could be the best outcome following the worldview of Higurashi when they cry? Perhaps it's something better than the Matsuribayashi chapter. You can consider this a graduating question for Higurashi when they cry. Maybe I will leave it as my final gift to those who enjoyed this tale for 4.5 years. I'm surprised they only spanned 4.5 years. I mean, I think wait, how long have I been Let's Playing this series now that I think about it? Maybe it's actually been 4 years as well. That would be very fitting if that's the case. Maybe even longer than that. Because somebody, like, the previous arc, I think, took forever to get released, and there was like a long delay waiting for that to get released as well. But I did, complete like 2 or 3 of them, the first 2 or 3, in 1 year. So it's definitely been a few years. To say that 4 years, or close to 4 years, I wouldn't think would be too far out there for like how long this Let's Play's been going on for. But obviously this is talking about like how long it took them, writing all these arcs. Thank you for reading this extremely complicated story. In the end, what was this all for? If I were to put the answer to that question in one word, it would be entertainment. It's not important if you were able to answer the riddles. After all, if you enjoyed yourself, you won. Ryukishi07 will continue to challenge you. Higurashi When They Cry ends here, but I hope I get to see you again in a different world. What kind of work do I want to create next? Maybe it's fitting to choose my next work from an infinite number of possibilities while listening to the chorus of the Higurashi. I want to express my gratitude to all the people who have supported me until today. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Ryukishi07. And then Umineko happened. Which is a weird title. Is it Umineko When They Cry? If so, that's even weirder. Higurashi When They Cry. Umineko When They Cry essentially means Matsuribayashi staff room achievement. Essentially means sea cat when they cry. What the hell kind of title is that? Higurashi When They Cry. Yeah, Higurashi, they're noisy bastards. But a sea cat? What? Okay. Let's actually see how many chapters were in here. It feels like there was a lot more than that, if you ask me. So I guess that's that. I hope you've enjoyed this ridiculously lengthy arc, and the Higurashi series as a whole. And I don't think I've ever actually said it. Maybe I have in some of the past arcs, I mean, I link the, where you can buy each of the, the novels in the first part of each arc. But, support the official release, It's just like, You've already seen the story, but, you know, if you enjoyed it, you know, buy it yourself. Go through it in your own time. It's a different experience if you're actually just reading it yourself in your own time rather than having some idiot like me reading through it all. They support the official release, you know. It's on Steam. That's the versions I've been using. So, yeah. It's also on the Manga Gamer site, which, again, is not safe for work, generally, because they have a lot of those novels in there as well. But they are the ones that did the translation, so it's on their site as well. But, you know, Steam's a lot more easier to access, I think, you know. But, yeah, I hope you've enjoyed. Don't know what to do next, honestly. Because, like, I've been thinking of, like, retiring from the visual novels Let's Plays. But at the same time, I'm kind of curious about some other novels as well. Like I said, Umineko. It's like, any of you be interested in seeing me to have a crack at that series? I mean, unlike the Higurashi series, I'd be going in completely blind. But I'm not gonna, like, start any new Let's Plays probably for the remainder of the year for this channel. I have to, like, you know, think about it. I don't want to jump straight into another one, regardless of what I end up doing. Or maybe I'll end up being like, nah, that'll do. Just, like, retired from visual novels. But I don't know, I'm kind of curious about Umineko, so any other kind of, like, comparison of what it's like, you know? Like, give a brief summary in the comments, maybe. Just like, what is Umineko about, without giving too much spoilers? And how does it compare to Higurashi on a variety of things? More importantly, how fucked up is it in comparison to Higurashi? Because I don't want to, like, start Let's Play Umineko, and then after the first arc be like, God, I'm traumatized by that. Just like, oh man, what the fuck was that, man? You know? Well, yeah, I hope you enjoyed the whole arc and the series. For a final part, I will put together an all-cast review session and, you know, have an after-LP talk, which is, you know, was inspired by the all-cast review sessions. It's a shame we didn't get them for the answer arcs, so I had to make my own, you know. So I have to write a script, edit it all together, pain in the ass. Which is why, regardless of when this part gets uploaded, whether it be in the same month here, September, or, you know, in November after the October special and my main channel's done, whichever, it probably will take a while before I actually get around to that. Or maybe I'd have got it done by then, I don't know. Just writing a script, pain in the ass. And since it's the final answer arc, it's like gotta have like a sense of like, woohoo, celebrate everyone, we won, the story is over. And I think, it's like, I don't know, I just make a mental note to myself, well not a mental note, just make a note to myself. I probably won't remember it even if I mention it here, but I wanna, in the all-cast review session, right, I want to sneak in a word of the day. Just one more word of the day for that. That'd be perfect. You know? I don't know what the word would be. I just feel like maybe sneak in a word of the day, have the characters come up with a word of the day randomly in the discussion. I don't know. Maybe I'll do that, maybe I won't. Doesn't really matter. It's gonna be a while before I get around to that. So I hope you enjoyed. That's all. Peace out.